thank you for allowing me to come here and speak with you. You meaning everyone at this table, are all part of our community. And my job as the sheriff, just as my job as the police chief, is to protect everyone. No one should be the victim of a crime and feel that the sheriff's office will not do everything they can to catch that person who's responsible no matter what their citizenship is. I'm not interested. I'm not the citizenship police. My job is to work for victims and witnesses. I have a really straightforward policy. Our guy's job is not to make a car stop and determine whether or not someone is here illegally. That's not what our job is. If we arrest a violent felon and we see that that person may or may not be a citizen, by all means, we're going to do everything we can to discover what we need to do to remove that person from our community. We're not going to do roundups. We're not looking to do anything like that. Like I said earlier, my job and my deputy's job is to protect the victims and witnesses of this community.
Las familias tienen miedo de hablar. Nosotros queremos esa confianza para la gente.
Yeah, and we want to create this trust between your department and our community because, as you know, there's a lot of domestic abuse and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that people are taken care of.
And I cannot stress this enough. If we get called to a house where domestic violence occurred, our job is to arrest the abuser, not to do anything else, and then bring the social services to help the family. Because as we all know, domestic violence, it's the residual effects of the children that are inside the house. So we want to make sure we have the services there to put that in place. But the sanctity of human life and dealing with human beings is what's at the core of my use of force policy, and is what the core mission of the sheriff's office is. The sanctity of human life and human decency comes first and foremost in everything that we do.
Okay, so el respeto a la vida humana.
I guess I would ask, how could I alleviate the fears? Who would you want us to meet with? I mean, I'll meet with everybody. How do you want us to proceed to build that relationship that everybody feels comfortable?
So, ¿cómo usted quiere que él ayude?
Puedan tener más confianza con los.
So, if you could come to a community meeting, I guess he will be organizing, and so you can tell the community what you just said.
Absolutely.
They're afraid because if any information that they give out, they're afraid that that's going to be used against them. Just like that example you gave, that lady didn't want to talk because she was afraid that she was going to get deported. And I think that's the fear amongst this community here.
And I could have all the policies in the world. I can't quell that. I have to show it by our actions. Mm-hmm. And like I said, if somebody goes out and they shoot 4 people, and we have reason to believe that that person is here illegally in the country, that's the investigation focuses on that shooter and that person, removing him from the community. It's not extending toward witnesses. It's not extending toward anybody else. It's that one individual and that act that they did.
A lot of witnesses don't want to come forth, or they're reluctant to come forth, is because if they give their name, obviously it's going to be registered in some type of database.
I got you. I hear what
and
you're saying.
that's going to, they're going to be in fear, to give more information or cooperate, with the prosecution based on it. And a lot of cases are being dropped based on my working with the state.
I would hope that this community, along with our victims advocates, would be able to assure that victim that you are the victim of a crime. You are a witness to a crime. That is not grounds for me or anybody else to say, now we're going to, for lack of a better term, lower the boom on you and throw you out of here or throw you in detention or anything. That's not going to happen when I'm the sheriff. Our job, the main function of law enforcement, is to protect victims and witnesses, and that's what we're going to do. We had a staff meeting yesterday where I outlined this to all of the commanding officers to reiterate that fact, that this is not Nazi Germany. We are not going out, knocking on doors, checking on citizenship, and rounding people up. I'm not the sheriff in
Maricopa County.
Thank you, in Arizona. I come from a different perspective. I come from the perspective that I have a duty and an obligation as a career law enforcement officer to protect victims and witnesses no matter what their citizenship is. It's not my responsibility. My job is to go after the bad guy and the guy that's disrupting the community, no matter what that community is. Whether they speak English or speak Spanish or French or whatever, you have to get the bad guy out of there. Because I don't think any community, I think the basic needs in Maslow are safety, and food. and a place to sleep. We all want that. We don't want a bad person in our community that's gonna put us all in danger.